Well, hello friends, Rob here, and today we've got another video coming at you. We're talking about the showdown, Fujifilm Instax Evo versus X. It's gonna be a good one. Guys, I can't wait to share this with you. I've done so much to put this video together for you, talking about printing, whether it's a Instax Evo versus Instax X100 or X series camera, and how they print off using different share printers, and then the difference in files, or even on a 4x6 and stuff like that. I want to talk to you about all those things because I think there's a great opportunity here to save you some money, as well as share with you real world experience. I was one of the first adopters of the Evo, and I've been a Fujifilm shooter for 15 years now. So I can't wait to get into it. But if you find this kind of video helpful, you know what I'm going to ask you to do. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Use the links down below if you want to do some shopping. I'll get a little kickback, not too bad, and you won't pay anything extra. Most of the time, I've got links that'll go down, even save you some money. Okay, plug over. Today, we're going to answer five questions, right? We're going to talk about which produces the best image quality, what's the difference in the digital files, because both of these are going to be a digital workflow. What's the difference in the workflow? What's the overall cost long term? Like, how much do you spend over the lifetime of a product? And what is the difference between the film simulations and then the film lens and filter effects that you get on the Evo as compared to the X series camera? If you're ready to do that, let's jump in. Guys, we're talking about this camera right here. This is the Fujifilm Instax Mini Evo, and although they have come out with brand new cameras recently, including the Instax Evo Wide and the Instax Evo Cinema, this is still the only flagship photography-based Fujifilm Instax Mini series camera that focuses on photography as an element. The Mini Cinema Evo focuses on cinema and lens effects that mimic, of course, film and TV from different eras. Not specifically for photography, although obviously it does photography. That's what it's all about. But this is what we've got. Let's go ahead and give this Contestant a look around while we're talking about that. From the front, oh, beautiful. I'll give it to you, show you here. You can see the big lens, but the reality is the lens is actually just that small circle right there in the center. Do you see that? Let's see if I can get it some more. That lens right there in the center, that is the actual lens, that small circle. The rest of it is just the plastic around it. I believe it's plastic because it's scratched so easily. Glass wouldn't. Now, when we talk about that durability, I've had 5 years of use. I got mine 2 weeks before it released, and I have enjoyed it very thoroughly, and I've had zero battery degradation. I have shot literally 3,000 or more images that I have printed, and everything still works just great. This the lens ring works, the film selection works, the rewind, which is the print lever, works, your favorites button works, the push button for the printer work, you know, the camera, it all works. It just works great. And this is the one prior to when they did the update for the USB-C, so this still happens to have, let me show it to you here, that you'll know it's one of the first, one of the USB type whatever minis. You can kind of see in there the crazy one. And I haven't even filled up my SD card. I think there's a 64 gigabyte SD card with thousands and thousands of images on it. It's working great. So all in all, I have truly enjoyed using this. Lots of fun. Okay, let's take that Contestant and put it down. Today, I'm going to be comparing it to the Fujifilm X100F. Ooh la la. There's a lot of hype about the X series, X100 series, and it deserves it. Okay, I've been an X100 shooter ever since the X100S and the X Pro 2, or X Pro 1, excuse me, and the XT1, all of those. So I go way back in the day, and I absolutely love this form factor. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. It's got a 35-degree field of view, or 35 millimeter field of view naturally. Remember, this is an APS-C size sensor. We'll talk a little bit about the sensor here in a minute, but let me go ahead and bring you in and give you this walk around. Oh boy. Okay, this is the Fujifilm X100F, 24 megapixels, beautiful, beautiful body. We've got it just works everything you'd like. Aperture all the way up to f/16. We've got a wide f2.0 lens. This is the first revision of the lens, the new Series 6. X106 has the version 2. I got to tell you, I've never had a problem with anything out of here. All fully manual or automatic controls. Absolutely gorgeous backplate. All works wonderfully. And just exactly like you would expect. So not as much to talk about here because there's not been a durability issue that was ever a question with cameras like this. When I first got the Fujifilm Instax Mini Evo, one of the big questions I got on the YouTube channel and everybody was asking me when I was doing my reviews is, how is the battery life and how's all that going to work? The reality is it worked great over the past 5 years, and now I can say for certain I have not noticed a diminished battery. I just haven't. So when I go to print, I don't worry about it. I can print a couple packs of film. You should be able to get 10 packs off of one charge. I can say I don't ever print 10 in one day, but I've never ran out of battery while I was out shooting with the camera. Maybe I shoot different than you, but I'll shoot 2 or 3 packs of film and be happy. You know, everything's good to go. Okay, we've said all of that. I think it's a good time to actually jump into the question. Which setup produces the best print quality, physical print quality? So we're going to look at these. Okay, just so that you know. How many do you want? I've got tens of thousands of prints from all different formats. How many do you want? So what I'm sharing with you is my experience, and the images that you'll see today are specifically from the Instax Mini Evo. The print quality is great because this is a physical print process. Although the Fujifilm Instax Mini Evo happens to use a digital printer, it's an LED emitting printer, to expose the film chemistry, the Instax chemistry itself is just that. It's actual chemistry. It's real chemical process. It's a little light room inside of your camera. Okay, and so the question would be, what camera took this? Like, can we tell, is this image going to be no good? I'm telling you now, the answer is no. They're all going to be beautiful because it's a physical print process. The chemicals develop. So yes, the digital printer in both regards, from the Instax Share Printer 2, which is what I'm using with the Fujifilm X100S or F or any X series camera, and the printer in the Fujifilm Instax Mini Evo, are basically the same. So you're not going to see any difference in print quality. So I wanted to kind of show you, there are so many fun things that you can do with these. Right? They're just so much fun. Okay, now that that's been done, the answer to your question number one is no. There's zero difference in the physical print quality. The difference between a large aperture of an X series camera and a small aperture of the Fujifilm Instax Mini Evo really get well, it just gets, wrung out in the wash, right? You don't really see that so much. Now, could you see something like really narrow depth of field? Certainly. Let me bring you this one up. Here's one you'll see. This was taken with the Fujifilm X100F, and you can see there is some bokeh. I had a halide filter, a diffusion filter on the front of it. And so, yes, you can see here there's some quality difference specifically in the bokeh, which is nice, but even in this image, the blur is just a little bit. It's not that much. The point that I'm saying is, of course, you could see them, but on the small format of the film, which is basically 2 inches by 3 inches, it's like 86 by 27 millimeters, something like that, or 57 millimeters or something like that, it's really hard to tell some of those qualities of the image. But what can you tell about them? They're all nice, sharp, clear, pungent, and vibrant over the lifetime of the image, which is really great. Let's move on to the next question. And as I do, I want to talk about this setup right here with the Fujifilm X100 F and the Share Printer 2. So in order for this to work, I use both of these together, right? Check that out. This is the Share Printer 2, and it works extremely well because I can print directly from the camera to the Share Printer 2, which is really cool. Now, the way that we do this is by going into wireless share printing, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment. The next question that we want to answer is, how do the digital files compare, and does the Mini Evo's resolution hold it back digitally? And the answer is, they don't compare. The Instax Mini Evo has a 1/5 inch 1/5 sensor. It's an extremely small sensor. It's roughly 7 times crop factor, which is small, 7 times smaller than full frame. The APS-C size sensor in the X100 series camera is a 1.5 times crop factor. So it's just a slightly bit smaller. These do lots for image quality overall, but specifically low light capability. Also, the Instax Mini Evo, although the sensor and lens combo which it has was used on the HTC One M8, at least the sensor it was. I did a whole video about that. And the HTC One M7, which was a fantastic cell phone sensor back from 2010, they did that as a cost savings measure, but they didn't open up the sensor for a RAW file or even a large JPEG file. It's extraordinarily compressed. So even your color images come out to be roughly 2500 by 2000 pixels, which supports that vertical, shooting style, but their only color might be 1.2 megabytes, very compressed, right? Now, you don't see any of that compression artifacts on an image like this because it's just not there. The physical chemical print process would actually get rid of it because this is an organic print process. It develops through chemistry. So if there was any pixelation, right, it would go away because of the bloom from the print. It's spread over like a paste and then it develops, right? Okay. Because of that, we don't see any of that. But when you go to print them, like on a 4:6 picture, you lose all resolution because it's so small and it's so compressed. You could print that on a 4:6. I would suggest 3:5, which has led me to say that I don't think that the Fujifilm Instax Mini Evo is a good daily archival camera. Now, my opinion on this has changed slightly. In fact, the idea that I've got thousands, I must have 12,000 images, 10,000 images on here, so many that going through it is like a time capsule. And when I go through it, I can print the image again directly, which is absolutely fantastic. But if I were to take these images off and print them to hang on my wall, they would look terrible. You'd be better off using your current modern cell phone. Even if it wasn't a flagship model, you'd have a better result because the resolution, the image, the size, and the compression would all be better, thereby suiting for fewer blocks, JPEG artifacts, and better print quality. That being the case, sure is fun, and although I don't consider it an archival camera, it daggone sure has been a great time capsule camera, and that's not something I expected it to do. Now, let's talk about my X100F. I stopped shooting the X100F as a main camera probably 6 years ago, meaning I stopped using it for my weddings and portraits as a secondary camera for all the reasons you could imagine of what happened 6 years ago, COVID, right? So things changed and I had smaller workflows, which meant when I did have work, things changed. So I was just working differently. But ever since then, I have turned this camera on basically just straight up JPEG, and I've carried it day to day. Now, the JPEGs out of here are about 15 megapixels, 14, 15 megapixels, and they're, 4,000 by 6,000 or 24 megapixels. Wow, what a great image to use to make something big. Like even these images you see, well, you don't see them. That's okay. What I've said, I even have shot bands with this camera and wrestling events with this camera as a secondary camera for my, like in the moment, like my documentary camera because of that 35 millimeter field of view. And I love it. So when you consider this camera as an archival camera and a time capsule camera and a workhorse camera and a professional, yeah, it does all of those roles. You'll never worry about image quality. You just won't. You will not do the same with the X Mini Evo. Now the difference is between them $200 and $1,400 for a new one. It's a 7 times price difference. Is it worth it? Absolutely. If your concern is professional results 10 years down the road that you can still go back to. If you were to ask me, pro tip up front, if you're saying you're buying a camera, like you're a new father or mother and you want to buy a camera for your family at the start of your family, maybe when you get married or something like that, then the camera you should purchase is this, right? Now, I'm not taking into account your photography expertise, skill, or anything like that. But at a 35 millimeter field of view, this camera could be your lifetime camera. It just could be. And produce great results. Okay, now that we've done that, let's go ahead and have a quicker look, a little closer look at the Share printer so you can kind of see what we're working with. They've actually moved to a bunch of different types of printer styles. This one's old. It works extraordinarily well. It's got some film in it right now. The battery is down here, down at the bottom. And when you turn it on, and we'll do a little print later, when you turn it on, it shows you your indicators right there. The next question that we're going to ask is, what's the difference in the workflow and the on-the-spot convenience. Is there a difference between workflow and on-the-spot convenience? Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so you've got 3 ways to get images off of your Instax X100 series camera or X series camera. You've got 1 way to get images off of your Mini Evo, and you've got 1 way to send images from your phone to the Instax Share printer or to the Evo if you would want to print. So let me share with you how it works this way. The Mini Evo simply takes the picture, it's ready to go. Boom, pull the lever and it prints. Great. Now, let's talk about the workflow as compared to the X100F. Let's find an image on here. Okay, so we've got the X100F. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Okay, so she's on now. We're turning around to the back. I'm going to go ahead and push my play button so I can find an image. And on this, I'm just going to sort through here real quick. I'm going to find a fun image. What if I printed a picture of a camera, taking a picture of a camera? I've got thousands on here. And I think I'm going to print an image from my son's Christmas or everything. I'm going to print this one of my sweetheart. Does she have one where she's looking at me, smiling? I hope so. Well, you know what? I'll print this one. This is my baby girl. Okay, now, I want you to look at the image size. If we print this right now, if I'm not mistaken, because of its orientation, the pad will be at the top. So that means if you're used to taking your pictures in portrait orientation like this, then you would need to flip them like that to make sure that you've got the correct orientation. I know what I remember. It's very easy to rotate an image on the Instax Mini Evo. You just rotate it. It's a selection that you can choose from the menu. I'll show you in a minute. Okay, now that we've done that, let's just go ahead and turn this printer on by holding it, because you're seeing the workflow difference. I hope this is helpful to you. Okay, it looks like it's turned on. Can you see? Yep, there's about 5 or 6 prints in there. Okay, great. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that print, and because I don't want that one, I guess I'll do it. We'll see. I'm going to Instax print from my menu down there. Now it's trying to connect to this printer. It'll tell me when it connects in just a moment. It's connected. Okay, does it give me the rotate option? Okay, no. Right now, I'm just going to press print. I'm selecting OK. Now it's sending. Okay, now you can kind of see, my hands are all funky all these backwards ways. Okay, now this has started printing, and you can see it's popping out. Great. Good, it's turning off. Take it a second. And I'll let this sit right here so that you can kind of see it's doing what it's doing back there. And we'll check back in on it in a minute and see if it organized that way. You now see the difference in the size, not the size, but the workflow for printing the image. You have one other thing that you can do. If you're printing an image from your phone, you can send it to either app. Directly to the Instax Mini Evo app or the Instax Share Printer app on your phone, and then it will connect to either one and print. So depending on which one you have, you can print either way. Which workflow is less complicated? Yeah, well, that's no doubt, right? That's this one right here, completely less complicated and more fun because of that, 100%. One thing about prints, there's something else you get when you print from the Instax Mini Evo, and that is you get the ability to share a digital copy of that print with the border in special fun colors, and you can customize it all kinds of ways with stickers and stuff like that. You can only do that to images that are printed, and it will only save your last 50 prints to be able to transfer to your phone. This is kind of a lockout feature to keep you buying film. That's specifically what it is. Can't call it anything else. There's no reason you can't just transfer. You already spent $200. But that's what we're going to talk about later, lifetime cost. The Instax Mini Evo will continue to take your money well after its useful period is over. Okay, so we've talked about all that. Let's now talk about the film simulations and the creative effects. I think that's a fun one to talk about. So I've got a couple pictures here. I'm going to pull one up, and maybe I can get to it quickly. Okay, I got 2 I can get to right now. All right, so film simulation effects. Check it out. Okay, 2 of them. On the one with the gold frame, okay, this one right here, I've got a light leak, right? You can kind of see that. And the other one is a black and white, right? These are both printed from the Instax Mini Evo. Excellent contrast, excellent colors, excellent everything. Lots of fun. When you think about the different activities or the things that you have control of with the Instax Mini Evo. We've got 10 lens effects, we've got 10 film effects. It gives you 100 different Photoshop-esque film types, creative styles to apply, film simulations, if you will. Fujifilm is known for having amazing film simulations. I found most of these to be very helpful. I don't like the fisheye, and I do like the retro, which is kind of neat, but the fisheye is kind of stupid if you ask me. And there are some, there's one that's embossed that makes it look like a painting. Why in the, that's a waste, like it's ugly. So you really don't have 20, you don't have 2 of the styles, so you really got 8 times 10, which is 80 that are probably worthwhile, 80 combinations that might be fun. I tend to like, well, let's see, I'll show them to you right now. Turn this on, it'll turn on in the back, and you can kind of see, let me get this right here. Boom. So the lens effects, we'll scroll through them. And we've got fisheye, which I don't think is any good. We've got this one. This is actually one that I use a lot because it's hard to see here, but it gives a really interesting yellow and blue and shift. It's like a tricolor tone. I like it a lot. This is the light leak I use often. I don't use mirror. I forgot all about mirror. And then this one, whatever that is, double, whatever. So I do use this one as well, which is like a diptych, 2 shots, 2 up picks, and then we're kind of back. There's one as a vignette. So those are the lens effects that I use. The 3 that you saw was the black and white, the light leak, and then the Resi color. And then you can choose different film colors like monochrome. Here's the canvas. I know it's hard to see. I'm already there, but you can at least see that it's changing something. Most of the time, I use the red filter of the film, the monochrome, and the yellow. And I go on from there. Let's put this back over here. Oops. Oh, well, I guess since we're done, sorry guys. When it comes over here, let's turn on the Instax, the X100F. And when we think about the different lens effects, I don't have them turned on right here, but I can show you in my menu. Right? So we've got all kinds of different ones like sepia, modern, black and white, Astia, Provia, Velvia, Chrome. We've got all these different things, and then we can actually change. Well, I guess I'll show you that too. We can come over here to our menu, and when we go to our quick menu, we can change things like the saturation, the highlights, the shadows, the noise reduction, the sharpness, the grain, whether it's weak or strong. And by doing that, we can create these different recipes that make a lot of fun. Overall, the Fujifilm X100F or any of the X series cameras for that matter, have far better and more useful in-camera recipe controls for creating really cool looks because they have more processing power, more all that stuff. The Fujifilm X100 or the Fujifilm Instax Mini Evo is a lot of fun, but as you can imagine, it's got a lot of gimmick to you. What's up, friends? I just want to jump back in and say if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to use my links. Maybe subscribe as well. But using the links definitely is the most important thing you can do because it will truly help me make more videos like this. Now, let's jump back into it. All right, friends, now it's time to talk about cost, sustainability. What does the system cost you to get into? Doesn't matter which one you print with. They both use the same film, which means you're spending the same kind of money. So let's talk about this. The Instax Mini Evo, Instax Mini Prints, the Instax Mini Share Printer, Instax Mini Prints, it costs the same no matter which one you're using, right? What does that cost? Well, if we think about it, the cost is about $1 a pop if you buy at big box stores. This is where most people are going to get their film. Think Best Buy or possibly Walmart or Target, definitely. Walmart does have some sales sometimes. When you think about it, you're going to have $20 for 20 prints, 2 boxes of 10. Earlier I said I've printed at least 3,000 photos, and I have, very simply. That's 300 rolls of film. That's about $3,000. Now, that's a lot of money over time, right? You think about that over the 5 years, almost 6 years that the Instax Mini Evo has been out. But what we really need to think about is what's the overall cost between the two. When we first look at these, we might say that the Fujifilm X100 series camera or your X series camera is going to be expensive. Think about this one, or new X100 series 6. That's going to be $1,400. Add 5 years of 3,000 prints, add another, like we said, $3,000 to it. Now we're at $4,500 for this camera, including the prints. But that's not necessarily the true cost. Because if you buy your prints in bulk, you can buy them for around 60 to 70 cents per print, sometimes 50 per print if you buy them in bulk. I generally buy on Amazon. I buy the deals that get them in bulk, and I don't worry about buying Fujifilm Instax Mini film or any Instax film because it doesn't have the same kind of shelf life problems as Polaroid does. It's much, much more shelf stable. In fact, I've never had an Instax print fade or shift over time that my eyes can see by any appreciable amount, and that's something that I like about it. So I don't mind buying 400 prints at one time, right? That's a lot of boxes of film. 20 boxes, 20 times 20 is 400. So that's a lot of film. So yeah, that's the way that I do it, and that'll get it down to more like 50 cents, 51 cents per print. That's what you can do there. And if you do that, they have about the same cost in use. However, let's not forget that your Instax will never compete with the overall image quality and the type of work that you can do using your X series camera. Okay, that's been done. Now it's time to talk about something else. I think there are a couple of key things we want to remember as we go through. First of all, the sensor paradox. Just because the sensor is smaller doesn't mean that it doesn't do its intended job worse. The physical image that you see are going to be about the same, which means that the chemical process of the film on either one of them, because they're both using, a similar style printer, is basically the same. Here we go. So now when we look at that, you can see, like I said, because I had the camera tilted in an odd way, we now have the tab on top rather than where everyone prefers it down at the bottom. That just kind of is what it is. Okay, so when we look at that, the next thing to know is the physical print reveal. Just because the print is going to be slightly different from the resolution and everything, theoretically it should be different, but in all actuality it's not. And finally, that tactile lever pull. The reality is that pulling this little thing right here is no gimmick. It is a lot of fun, and it has held up very, very well. And I like it for all of those reasons. When we think about this, the Fujifilm Instax Mini Evo is a fantastic camera, especially in this time capsule concept, and it has worked wonderfully over the past, 6 years now? It's been a great deal. Which do I use at weddings, you might say? Which do I use for my paid work? Which do people buy from me? Both of them. I use them both. So I have Instax Mini albums that I use, and when I don't bring the Instax Mini, I bring my X100F. In fact, bringing the Instax Mini is helpful for my second shooters because they can just go around printing photos for people, whereby I can use my Fujifilm X100 or another X series camera to take a high quality image that can also be printed as well as saved and delivered digitally in a high resolution format that I can edit later. I think those two things are the things that make the difference between them most important. And for that, I want to pass it on to you. What do you think? Has this video been helpful? Do you have one? Have you enjoyed this review? And if it has been helpful to you, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. A subscribe would help quite a bit. If you're still watching, go ahead and use my Amazon link. Say thank you to get one of these. You won't pay any more. You'll pay less, actually. And I'll get a little benefit to help create more videos. Thank you so much. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Bye for now.